Be me, Kathy, 37 years old, director of operations at tech consulting firm. Finally in a position where I can make real change. Been fighting the patriarchy my whole career. Now it's time to level the playing field. Company gives me budget to expand my team from 3 people to 15. This is my chance to create the workplace I've always dreamed of. Going to hire exclusively women to show everyone what we're capable of. Tired of seeing qualified women passed over for mediocre men. Time to flip the script. Start posting job listings for software engineers, project managers, data analysts. Get hundreds of applications. Immediately filter out all male applicants without even looking. Don't care if they have perfect qualifications. This is about justice and representation. HR Director Randy comes to my office. Kathy, I noticed you've only been interviewing female candidates. Want to make sure we're following equal opportunity guidelines here. Roll my eyes so hard they practically fall out. Randy, for decades this industry has been a boys' club. I'm simply correcting historical imbalances. He looks uncomfortable. I understand your perspective, but we need to consider all qualified candidates regardless of what? Gender? That's rich coming from you. He tries to say something else, but I cut him off. I know exactly what I'm doing. This is my department and my decision. Continue with my hiring plan. Interview Sarah, fresh out of coding boot camp. Barely knows JavaScript, but she's enthusiastic. Hire her as senior software engineer because potential matters more than current skill. Interview Jessica for project manager role. Has never managed a project in her life, but she's confident. Hire her immediately. Interview after interview of women. Some have relevant experience, others don't. Doesn't matter to me. What matters is breaking down barriers. Hire 12 women total for various technical roles. Feel incredibly proud of myself. First team meeting with my new all-female squad. Ladies, we're going to show this company what women can do when given a real chance. Everyone nods enthusiastically. Outline our first major project. Complete system migration for our biggest client, worth $2.3 million to the company. Timeline is aggressive, but I have faith in girl power. Send company-wide email announcing my team. Excited to introduce our newly expanded operations team. I'm particularly proud that we've achieved perfect gender balance in our hiring. Get some congratulatory responses. Also get a few side-eye looks in the hallway. Whatever. Haters gonna hate. Week 1 of the project. Sarah admits she's never worked with our primary database system. Jessica doesn't understand basic project management software. Emma, our new data analyst, asks what SQL stands for. No big deal. They'll learn on the job. That's how innovation happens. Randy stops by again. How's the team settling in? Fantastic. We're going to revolutionize how this company approaches complex projects. He raises an eyebrow. I see. Well, if you need any support or resources for training, we don't need training. We need confidence and opportunity, both of which I'm providing. Week 3. Client emails asking for status update. Jessica panics because she hasn't set up any tracking systems. Sarah has only written 200 lines of code and half of it doesn't compile. Tell them not to worry. We're just getting warmed up. Strong women always deliver under pressure. Overhear conversation in break room. 2 guys from accounting talking. Did you see they threw out Mike's application? Guy has 10 years experience and a master's degree. Yeah, and they hired that girl who thought Python was an actual snake. March over there. Excuse me, but your casual sexism is showing. Maybe focus on your own spreadsheets instead of undermining my team. They walk away looking confused. Typical male fragility. Month 2. Project is seriously behind schedule. Client getting impatient. CEO David sends email asking for detailed progress report. This is fine, just need to manage expectations. Respond with corporate buzzwords about agile methodologies and innovative approaches. Jessica comes to my office crying. Kathy, I don't think I can do this. The technical requirements are way beyond what I know. Put my arm around her. Jessica, imposter syndrome is just internalized patriarchy talking. You belong here as much as anyone. She sniffles. But I literally don't know how to use Microsoft Project, or Excel, or really any of the tools they want me to use. Tools are just tools. What matters is vision and determination. Month 3. System migration was supposed to be complete. Instead, we've somehow corrupted the client's existing database. Their entire operation is down for 2 days. They're threatening to sue. This is clearly just stress making everyone irrational. Emergency meeting with client. Bring Jessica and Sarah for support. Client CEO is furious. Your team deleted 3 years of customer data. How do you explain this? Explain that sometimes innovation requires breaking a few eggs. Also mention that aggressive male energy in meetings makes it hard for women to perform their best. Somehow this doesn't calm him down. Meeting ends with him storming out. Back at office, David's secretary calls. Mr. David wants to see you in his office immediately. Finally, probably wants to congratulate me on taking bold chances. Maybe even a promotion for my innovative leadership. Walk into David's office. He's pacing behind his desk like a caged animal. Face is red, veins bulging in his forehead. Definitely more angry than I expected. Sit down, Kathy. His voice is barely controlled rage. Take a seat, confused by his hostility. Is everything all right, David? You seem tense. He stops pacing and stares at me. Tense? Tense? Kathy, your department just cost us our biggest client. They're threatening a $5 million lawsuit. Our reputation in the industry is in shambles. Wow, he's really overreacting. David, every great innovation comes with growing pains. We're disrupting traditional... Stop. He slams his hand on the desk. Just stop with the buzzwords. I want you to explain to me exactly what happened with this project. Explain about how we were pushing boundaries and challenging conventional approaches. His face gets redder with every word. Kathy, they hired us to migrate their system safely. Instead, you corrupted their entire database. Their business was shut down for 48 hours. These things happen when you're not just following the same old playbook. No, these things happen when incompetent people are put in positions they can't handle. Feel my defenses rising. That's a very problematic thing to say about my team, David. He looks at me like I just spoke in tongues. Problematic? Kathy, I've been getting reports for weeks. Your senior engineer doesn't know basic programming languages. Your project manager had never managed anything more complex than her grocery shopping. You're being incredibly unfair. These women just need time to... Time. We gave them 3 months and they destroyed everything they touched. He pulls out a folder. I've been doing some research, Kathy. Want to know what I found? Honestly curious what he's discovered. Probably just typical corporate paranoia. I found out that you didn't hire a single male candidate. Not one. Out of 847 applications, you interviewed 0 men. Shrug. I hired the best candidates for the job. The best candidates? He opens the folder. Randy gave me copies of all the applications you rejected. Want to hear about some of these inferior candidates you passed over? This feels like a witch hunt, but go ahead. Robert Williams, 15 years experience, led successful migrations at 3 Fortune 500 companies. MIT graduate. Academic credentials don't guarantee. James Martinez, built the exact same database system our client uses, worked there for 8 years before they downsized. Just because someone has experience doesn't mean. Michael Thompson, literally wrote the software manual for the tools your team couldn't figure out. Starting to feel attacked. David, you're missing the bigger picture here. This isn't about individual qualifications. Then what is it about, Kathy? Because from where I'm sitting, it looks like you hired people based solely on their gender. Time to be honest. Yes, I prioritize gender in my hiring decisions, and I'm not ashamed of that. His jaw drops. You admit you discriminated based on gender? I corrected historical imbalances. For too long, qualified women have been passed over for. So you decided to pass over qualified men instead? It's not the same thing. How is it not exactly the same thing? He sits down, rubbing his temples. Kathy, do you understand that what you did was illegal? Setting aside the moral implications, you've exposed this company to massive discrimination lawsuits. Roll my eyes. No one's going to sue over this. Are you insane? I already have 3 attorneys calling about the men you rejected. Robert Williams is preparing a discrimination case. James Martinez's lawyer sent a letter this morning. This is getting blown out of proportion. Those are just intimidation tactics. Kathy, you rejected a man with perfect qualifications who could have saved this project and hired a woman who thought SQL was a type of fish. You're exaggerating. Am I? Because I have Jessica's interview transcript right here. Pulls out another document. Question. Describe your experience with database management. Answer. I'm a very organized person and I love managing things. That's taken out of context. She was nervous. Interviews are stressful. Question. What's your experience with agile methodology? Answer. I do yoga, so I'm pretty flexible. Okay, that one sounds bad. She was trying to show personality. Kathy. She thought a project timeline was something you hung on your wall. He's cherry-picking the worst moments. Everyone has room to grow. Grow? We gave her a $2.3 million project to learn on. His voice is getting louder. I trusted her potential over her current limitations. Her potential? She destroyed our client's entire business. Getting tired of his hysteria. David, you're being incredibly dramatic. Yes, there were some hiccups, but... Hiccups? He stands up so fast his chair flies backward. 3 years of customer data. Gone. Their entire inventory system. Corrupted. Their payroll database. Wiped. These are temporary setbacks that can be... They had to restore from backups from 2019. They lost 4 years of business data. Technology problems can always be. They're suing us for $5 million. He's really worked up about this. David, maybe you should take some deep breaths. Your aggressive energy is making it hard for me to... My aggressive energy? Veins are literally popping out of his forehead now. Kathy, let me explain something to you. This company employs 847 people. All of their jobs depend on us, maintaining our reputation and keeping clients happy. I understand that, but... No, you clearly don't understand anything. He starts pacing again. Do you know how long it took me to build relationships with these clients? 15 years? 15 years of delivering quality work, meeting deadlines, solving problems. And now we're expanding those relationships by showing we value. Value? We're showing them we value incompetence over excellence. Leans forward on his desk. I got a call this morning from 3 other clients. They heard about the data destruction. We're considering their partnerships with us. Clients can be very reactionary. Once the dust settles, they'll see we were just trying something new. Something new? Kathy, hiring incompetent people isn't innovative. It's stupid. That's a very harsh way to describe my team. These women aren't incompetent. They're learning. At our client's expense. At my company's expense. Pulls out his phone. Want to hear what our client said about your learning team? Plays a voicemail. David, this is the worst disaster I've seen in 20 years of business. Your team destroyed everything. We trusted you and you sent us amateurs. That's just one perspective. David, angry clients often exaggerate. Exaggerate? They lost everything. Slams his phone down. And do you know what the worst part is? Honestly curious what he thinks the worst part is. The worst part is that you don't even care. Of course I care. I care about creating opportunities. You care about your ideology more than this company. That's an unfair characterization. I care about justice and equality. Justice? What's just about hiring unqualified people? They weren't unqualified. They were underestimated. Sarah had never written code professionally in her life. She had completed a coding boot camp, an 8-week boot camp, and you made her senior engineer. She had enthusiasm and potential. Potential doesn't write code. He opens his laptop. Want to see what your potential accomplished? Shows me lines of code. This is what Sarah wrote for the database migration. Look at the screen. It's all technical gibberish to me. I'm not a programmer. I can't evaluate. This code deletes everything in the database. Everything. She wrote a deletion script instead of a migration script. That seems like a simple mistake. Everyone makes errors when they're learning. This isn't an error. This is like giving someone a loaded gun when they asked for a stapler. Getting frustrated with his metaphors. You're being incredibly overdramatic. Overdramatic? She destroyed everything because she literally didn't know what she was doing. He scrolls through more code. Look at this. She tried to connect to the database by Googling how to connect database and copying the first result. Self-directed learning shows initiative. It shows she had no business touching a production system. Sits back down, looks exhausted. Kathy, I've been in this industry for 25 years. I've never seen anything like this. Maybe that's because you've never seen what happens when women are given real opportunities. Real opportunities? I gave your team every resource they needed. You gave us impossible timelines and unrealistic expectations. The timeline was standard. We've completed dozens of similar projects. With different teams. With competent teams. His phone rings. Answers angrily. What? Another client wants to cancel? When? Today? Listens for a moment. How much revenue is that? 2 million annually? Hangs up. Looks at me with pure fury. Congratulations, Kathy. That's our 3rd client cancellation this week. Clients are just panicking unnecessarily. David, this will all blow over once people see the bigger picture. The bigger picture? The bigger picture is that your gender-based hiring experiment has destroyed my company. That's a very narrow way to look at. Narrow? Stands up again. Let me tell you what's narrow. Rejecting 800 qualified candidates because of their gender is narrow. I was correcting systemic inequalities. You were discriminating. It's not discrimination when you're leveling the playing field. Yes, it is. Discrimination is discrimination regardless of your motivation. That's not how systemic oppression works. I don't care how you rationalize it. He pulls out another folder. Do you want to know what this whole disaster is going to cost us? Probably just some accounting estimates. The lawsuit alone will be $5 million minimum. You said that already. The lost clients represent $12 million in annual revenue. That seems high. And the reputation damage the other clients will lose when word gets out. Conservative estimate is $30 million over the next 3 years. Those numbers sound made up. David, you're catastrophizing. Business goes up and down. Up and down? We're looking at bankruptcy. That's incredibly dramatic. It's incredibly realistic. We were profitable before your experiment. Correlation isn't causation. Causation? Your team literally deleted our client's data. He sits down, puts his head in his hands. Kathy, I need you to help me understand something. Finally, maybe he wants to have a rational conversation. I'm listening. When you decided to hire based on gender instead of qualifications, did you think about the consequences? I thought about the consequences of not hiring qualified women. But did you think about what would happen if your team couldn't do the job? Honestly, hadn't considered that possibility. I had faith in their abilities. Based on what? What evidence did you have that they could handle these projects? I believed in their potential. Potential isn't evidence. David, sometimes you have to take risks to create change. Risks? You bet my entire company on your social experiment. It wasn't a social experiment. It was justice. Justice? What's just about destroying people's livelihoods? He stands up and walks to the window. Do you know how many people work here, Kathy? 800 and something. 847. Each one has families, mortgages, dreams. I understand that. Do you? Because your justice might put all of them out of work. You're being incredibly pessimistic. I'm being realistic. Turns around to face me. I've spent 25 years building this company. 25 years of 60-hour weeks, missed family dinners, sacrificed weekends. And now you have the opportunity to make it more equitable. Equitable? There's nothing equitable about incompetence. David, you're focusing too much on short-term setbacks. Short-term, we may not survive this. The company will recover. Not if I can't trust my department heads to make rational decisions. That feels like a personal attack. My decisions were completely rational. Rational? You hired someone who thought Java was a coffee order. Emma was nervous during her interview. She didn't know what programming was. She was willing to learn. Learn? We needed someone who already knew. That's just gatekeeping disguised as standards. Standards exist for a reason. He goes back to his desk, pulls out more papers. Let me read you some quotes from your team members. Honestly curious what they've been saying. Sarah, when asked about the database corruption, I thought delete meant delete the bad stuff. That shows she was trying to help. Jessica, when asked about project timelines, I figured if we needed more time, we could just ask for it. That shows flexibility and communication skills. Communication? She never told the client they were 3 weeks behind. Maybe she didn't want to worry them unnecessarily. Didn't want to worry them? They were planning their business around our timeline. These are just growing pains. Growing pains don't cost $5 million. His phone rings again. Answers with barely contained rage. What now? The insurance company won't cover it? Why not? Gross negligence? Listens. So we're liable for everything? The full amount? Hangs up. Looks at me with something beyond anger. Our insurance won't cover the lawsuit because they're calling it gross negligence. Insurance companies always look for excuses. We can fight that determination. With what money? The money we'll lose defending against discrimination lawsuits? You're spiraling, David. This situation is manageable. Manageable? I have lawyers calling every hour, clients canceling contracts, employees panicking about layoffs. All temporary problems. Temporary? He pounds his desk. Kathy, I need you to understand something. This company is my life's work, and now it can be your legacy of promoting equality. My legacy is going to be bankruptcy caused by ideological hiring. That's not fair. Fair? You want to talk about fair? Is it fair that 800 employees might lose their jobs because you wanted to prove a point? I wasn't proving a point. I was creating opportunities. For 12 people, at the expense of everyone else. He walks around his desk toward me. Kathy, I'm going to ask you a direct question, and I want a direct answer. Nod, though his intensity is making me uncomfortable. If you had to do it over again, knowing what you know now, would you still hire based on gender instead of qualifications? Think about it for a moment. Consider the damage, the lawsuits, the lost clients. But also think about the principle, the message, the precedent. Yes. He stares at me for a long moment. Yes? Yes. The principle matters more than the temporary consequences. Temporary consequences? We might go out of business, but we'll have done the right thing. His face goes completely white, then red, then purple. The right thing? Yes. Destroying people's livelihoods is the right thing. Fighting systemic oppression sometimes requires sacrifice. He doesn't say anything for almost a minute, just stares at me like I'm an alien. Finally speaks in a whisper. Get out. Excuse me? Get out of my office. David, if you'd just listen to reason. Get out. He's shouting now. You're fired, Kathy. Clear out your desk and leave. This is completely unfair. You can't fire me for promoting equality. I'm firing you for gross negligence and discrimination. Discrimination? I was fighting discrimination. You were discriminating against men, against qualified candidates. That's not how discrimination works. Yes, it is. He picks up his phone. Security? I need someone to escort Kathy from the building, now. This is a massive overreaction. David, you're making a huge mistake. The mistake was trusting you with hiring decisions. Security guard appears at the door. Ma'am, I need you to come with me. This is humiliating and completely unnecessary. I can walk myself out. No, you can't. You're being escorted. David follows us to my office. Watches while I pack my personal items. 25 years, Kathy. 25 years building something meaningful. You still have the company. Barely. Finish packing. Security guard gestures toward the exit. Walk through the office while everyone stares. Can hear whispers and see pointing. This is all just misplaced anger and scapegoating. At the elevator, David appears one last time. Kathy, I hope someday you understand what you've done. I understand perfectly. I tried to create change and threaten the status quo. You destroyed everything for ideology. I stood up for my principles. Elevator doors close. Last thing I see is David shaking his head. Honestly, he'll probably thank me someday when he realizes how important this moment was. 6 months later. See news article online. David's company filed for bankruptcy. 847 people lost their jobs. Still not my fault. Systemic change is always difficult. Someone had to take a stand. Apply for new jobs. Keep getting rejected for mysterious reasons. Probably blacklisted by the old boys network. Typical retaliation against women who challenge the system. My principles remain intact, though. That's what really matters. Sometimes wonder what would have happened if I'd hired differently. But then remember that compromise is just another form of oppression. No regrets. Still proud of the stand I took, even if no one else understands it yet.